Hi guys, it's Todd. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about finding beauty in scars. Scars are often not seen as beautiful within our society. They're often seen as something to be ashamed of and something that we should hide, and I don't feel like those are good attitudes to be spreading about scars. This topic is really important to me because when I was 14, almost 4 years ago, I had a spinal fusion surgery to correct my scoliosis. I made a video talking all about my spinal fusion surgery and how that went. You guys should check that out if you haven't. I think you would enjoy it. But this surgery left me with two pretty prominent scars. I have one right here on my throat and I have one on my back running all the way from about the tip of my skull to nearly my tailbone. To be honest, having scars didn't really seem like a big deal to me at first, but it became a big deal to me once I noticed how other people were reacting to the prospect of me having these noticeable scars. I constantly had nurses and therapists telling me to keep putting cream on them and these gel strips to make them look better, and I needed to try to make them not as noticeable. And that kind of put this attitude in my head that like, oh, I need to hide these scars. They need to not be noticeable. I left my steri strips on my scars after my surgery for the longest time, so long that they were like peeling off and everyone was so tempted to just take them off for me. But I did this because I was scared my scars would look gross and they would disgust me and other people. So hearing other people say that I needed to make sure they weren't noticeable and they looked as healed as possible really didn't make it any easier for me to feel comfortable taking my steri strips off. To add on to that, once I did actually take the steri strips off, I constantly had people telling me, your scar looks really good. Like if it looked any different, it would be ugly and something to be ashamed of. And I know they were just trying to give me a compliment, but what kind of message are we sending to people who have scars when we tell them their scar looks really good only if it's not that noticeable? Because my scar had healed pretty well. It really wasn't that noticeable. And there are a lot of people who have scars that are very noticeable and maybe didn't heal as well as mine did. And if we're not telling them that theirs look good, how is that going to make them feel about having that scar? Probably not so good. Having people constantly harping on how my scar looked and how I needed to make it appear as invisible as possible made me feel like my scars were something that I needed to hide and be ashamed of. And that is so wrong. When someone has scars, it means that they made it through a tough experience. And I was a 14-year-old girl who had made it through an unbelievably tough spinal fusion surgery, which they say is more painful than open heart surgery. And I didn't need to feel ashamed of that. I needed to feel proud of that, because those scars showed all of the tough experiences that I had to endure. So this meant that I really should be wearing them proudly and showing them off to people rather than hiding them, because this experience that I went through was something that I should feel good about. I deserved to feel confident about my scars and within myself. And once I realized this, I felt so much better. Instead of worrying that people were gonna notice my scars and stare at me and judge me for them and think they didn't look good, I wanted people to notice my scars because I was proud of making it through the situation I'd been through. So I started wearing my hair up in a bun because that way the scar on my neck was quite visible. And I did this because I wanted people to know that they shouldn't have to hide their scars if they have them. They should feel free to show them off because your scars are a part of who you are and they tell a story. The scars you have on your body tell everyone that you've been through an experience and you made it through. So why is that something you should feel ashamed of? It's definitely not. Making it through a tough experience is something you should show off. Once I adopted this mentality that my scars were something I should show off and be proud of and not feel ashamed of, I felt so much better about myself. Every year when I walk into school on the anniversary of my surgery with my hair in a bun, knowing my scar is on full display, I feel so confident and so proud because I know that I am proving to people that you can make it through a hard experience and be proud of the scars that it left behind. After I started wearing my hair in a bun and making it a point to show off my scars, I began doing this more and more. I loved wearing clothing that showed off my scars because my scars actually made me feel confident and proud rather than ashamed, which is the opposite of how most people think they would make me feel. But I wanted to use my scars and my experience coming to terms with having them to provide encouragement to others and let everyone know that you don't need to be ashamed of them and that you should totally show them off. Because not everyone has scars and everyone's scars are unique. They all tell a different story. They were all acquired through our own personal experience. And I think that's super cool. It's totally something that we should embrace and view with positivity. This is why scars should be included in the body positivity movement. Scars are often seen as ugly and disgusting and something that we should be ashamed of and hide. And they're hardly ever seen as beautiful and something that we should be proud of and embrace. If we're not including scars in the body positivity movement and encouraging others to love their scars and view them in a positive light, we are making it so much more difficult for a large portion of our population to be confident within themselves. So many people have scars from so many different experiences they went through, and people who have scars deserve to feel proud of them. It would feel horrible to wake up every day and feel like part of your body is ugly and disgusting and viewed horribly by society. So if we could just create a more accepting and inclusive environment surrounding scars, so many more people would feel so much more comfortable within themselves and we would have a more positive environment in general. Since I've started showing off my scars, I've never had anyone point them out in a negative way. I just remember one girl at school pointing to the scar in my throat and asking if that was from my surgery, and I said yes, and that was that. And then there was one other girl who had also had scoliosis surgery, and she pointed to my scar on my back and she said, "We're scar buddies." And that was such a positive way to view our scars. Imagine if we, these two little 14-year-old girls, felt so bad about our scars that we didn't even want to talk about them with each other and we wanted to cover them up. That's no way for anyone to feel, especially 14-year-old girls. Viewing our scars in a positive light can do so much for our happiness and confidence. If we learn to embrace the parts of ourselves that people don't typically want us to embrace, we will feel much better within ourselves and proud of the things that we've overcome. So I'm hoping that the body positivity movement will begin to recognize scars as beautiful and something we should be proud of, because it really would be revolutionary for so many people's confidence and happiness. If I had never worked to embrace my scars and ignore the attitudes of the people who were telling me to try to make them appear as invisible as possible, I would definitely not be as confident as I am today, because the scar on my throat is very difficult to hide. So is the one on my back unless I wear my hair down. So if I kept listening to what they were telling me, I would probably be wearing a necklace every day to try to cover my scar on my throat, and I would never wear my hair up, and I would never wear dresses that had open backs. And that's a horrible way to feel. I got these scars because I had to have a massive surgery and I couldn't help that. So why should I feel bad about them? I shouldn't. I should feel proud of them because they show that I made it through a tough time and they allow me to share my story of making it through that experience with everyone by displaying them proudly and with a smile on my face. Everyone deserves to feel comfortable within themselves, even if they have scars. So if you were someone who was struggling to accept and embrace your scars, I hope that this video helped you feel better about them and recognize that they are something you should be proud of, not ashamed of. If you enjoyed my talk of motivation, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel, and remember to hit that notification bell so you never miss a video of mine. I post new videos every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern and sometimes Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern, so I hope to see you at the next one. Bye guys!